right, for the practice test, remember, any of these that you get wrong, you should circle, and, well, you should correct them as well. That's why we're going over this, so you can correct them, and you can take them home and study, even though it's over the long break, which is just enough time for you guys, if you do nothing, to forget everything. So make sure you do some studying while you're shoveling on all the turkey and bacon and ham and whatever else you do. Pies. Maybe it's a bacon pie or a turkey pie or a bacon turkey pie. Maybe it's a bacon turkey ham pie. I don't know. All right. It says write a letter or something like that, but we're going to skip that garbage. So, this family, they sold a valuable painting for $55,000. This price is $1,000 more than twice the amount they originally paid for it. How much did they originally pay? Well, we're going to start with that $55,000 right here. And we got, because that's $1,000 more than twice, so we got to take off $1,000. So the painting, double the original amount, would have been $54,000 after we subtract. But then that's twice it, so we got to figure out what half of that is. So that would have been $27,000. No, because it's $1,000 more first or last after the double. So you got to take $1,000 off and then half it. See, now if we work backwards, on this, 27,000, double that is 54. $1,000 more than that is 55,000. Bam, we got it. Number 2 in a volleyball game, Alexis scored 4 points more than twice the number of points Jessica scored. And then it tells us how much Jessica scored. So Jessica is going to score 3 points. And then Alexis is going to score twice that much, which would have been 6 points. But then Alexis also scored 4 more points, which gives Alexis 10 points. On this one, we want to get that M all by itself. So I'll use a T model a little bit here. And we want the M just by itself, which means we don't want minus 12. So to get rid of that minus 12, we'll make it a 0 by adding 12 to both sides. And then just to make sure, I would use a calculator on this. 11 plus 12, 23. Number 4, we want to get just x, not x over negative 5. So to get rid of that negative 5, I'll multiply both sides by negative 5, which cancels out these negative 5s. And I've got x equals negative 6 times negative 5 is positive 30. Now on all these, you guys should check, which means I should go back and I should say, well, x is 30, so 30 divided by negative 5. It needs to equal this negative 6, and it does. So it checks off. All right. Number 5, we don't want 6x, we want 1x. So how do we change a 6 to a 1? We'll divide it by itself. But if I do it to one side, I got to do it to both sides. 6 divided by 6 is a 1. Equals negative 48 divided by 6, negative 8.
Yes. 5 for 5. 5 for 4.
Yeah, no, don't fall off the wagon on this one, okay? Because now, what we're going to have to do is, again, the idea is we want just this 2/5 of an x. We don't want that plus 7 garbage. So we're going to get rid of that 7 by subtracting 7, making that a 0. But if I do it to one side, I got to do it to both sides. 1 minus 7 is negative 6. Well, now what would we do? There's 2 things. You can either divide by 2/5. I prefer to make this 2 steps individually. See, if I multiply both sides by 5, then these 5s cancel out. And I'm left with that 2x equals negative 30. Well, now I can divide by 2. And I see that x equals negative 15. All right, I got that 4 and 5/6 No mixed numbers, we'll change this into an improper fraction. So 4 times 6 plus 5 gives us 29 of these sixths. And I still got this third of a y equals that stuff. So again, the idea is to get one y, not a third of a y. So I just need to get rid of that 3 denominator. I'll multiply that by 3, or 3 over 1, and those cancel. So I do have one y. 29 times a 3, 60, 87. No, 87 sixths. And both of those are divisible by 3. Just to simplify this so that we get just a y equals 29 thirds.
Could that also be
Halves, not thirds.
Oh, yeah, I did it. Yeah, let's go.
Whoops, I got that one wrong.
The k is for just the unknown. Because clearly 4.7 thousand plus 11.5 does not equal negative 12. So that can't possibly be thousands. Well, let's go ahead and figure this one out. So let's get the k's by themselves. So we'll still have the 4.7k, but I got to get rid of this 11.5. So I'll subtract it from both sides. And I got 4.7k equals negative 23.5. Then we'll divide both sides by 4.7, giving us the 1k, which is what we want. And divide this one by 4.7, and I get negative 5. All right, number 9er. So we're going to get that negative 3m again by itself. So we got to get rid of that minus 21 by adding 21 to both sides. So that becomes a 0. Negative 3m equals 15. So to solve for m, we're going to divide both sides by negative 3, creating a 1m. So we got just a 1m equals negative 5. The length of each side of a square was increased by 6 inches.
21 inches.
So the perimeter is now 52 inches. What was the original length of each side of the square? So let's take a gander at these. We have the original side of the length of the square, the side length of the square. But then they said we're going to increase that by 6 inches. Now we're looking at the perimeter is 52 inches. The perimeter includes all 4 sides, so we're going to have 4 sides, x plus 6. We're going to add them all together, so we can just do 4 times x plus 6. And that would equal the new perimeter, which is 52 inches.
Whoa.
So, to solve these, first thing we should do is distribute the 4, so we get 4x plus 24 equals 52. That'd be fine. Just be careful. Then, from right here, we'll subtract 24 from both sides. And we see the 4 sides together would give us 28 inches. Well, to figure out one side, we'll just divide both sides by 4. And we would find that x equals 7. The problem is that it's not 7.
You wrong.
7 inches.
He's teaching us falseness. Right.
6x plus 10 equals 23. We got to find just an equivalent equation. We don't even need to solve it. But it may help you just to solve all 5 of these and figure out which 2 of them are the same. The answer is obviously not D.
Oh, crap.
But it does rhyme with D.
A, B.
Not B.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H,
C.
Sasha!
The answer is A.
The answer
It's A.
is not C.
Oh, yes! And I got it right!
That is it.
I got it right! And I got it.
All right, so the question is, how do we get this 6x equals 13? All right, well, if we look at this equation, 6x plus 10 equals 23. All they done is they subtracted 10 from both sides. And they got 6x equals 13. Bam. That's as far as we needed to go just to find that equivalent equation. Next one is very different though. So on this one, to get the answer, what they done. Now we did look very quickly at this method during the lessons, but they just divided both sides by -4. And they got x minus 11 equals -4. So that answer is G. I take it back then. The answer is G. Now we're running into these types of equations. These ones are extremely difficult because of the decimal. Oh, this one's really hard because here's what we got to do. Okay, we're going to divide both sides by 0.2 to make this a 1A. But if I do it to one side, I got to do it to the other side. So I have 1A equals 240. All right, 14. This is Z divided by 8.9. So to undo the division, I'm going to multiply both sides by 8.9er. See, now the 8.9's cancel. And I'm left with Z equals
95.8.
95.8, thank you.
Oh, I got
Well, anyways, 15. Plus, let me start over there. Y plus 9 equals -21. This one was extremely difficult. Here's y. And we find this all the time on the quizzes and tests. So we know that we need to subtract 9 from both sides so that we have just a y. That becomes 0. But -21 minus 9, this is where it gets difficult because clearly the answer is -12.
No.
It's negative.
You're right, thank you. I forgot. There's two negatives, so it's a positive 12.
Wait, how did you
No.
math teacher
Negative 30.
like how to do
Yeah.
that?
Well, here's the thing, is it's not 12. The problem is sometimes we do it so fast in our head, we just see 21 minus 9, so we think 12. But if we do it on a calculator, which is what you should do, then the answer is clearly -30.
I did it. Oh, yeah.
All right. 2.7a equals 13.5. Bam. Let's just divide both sides by 2.7. So that gives us a 1a again. Equals 5.
I clicked on the wrong variable.
All right. B divided by 7 minus 4 equals -5. Let's add 4 to both sides. So then we got b over 7 equals -1. Well, now I need to get rid of that divide by 7 stuff, so we'll multiply it by 7. Giving us a 1b again. Equals -7. This one turned out very different, and here's why, is we got a fraction that we got to distribute into the parentheses. So let's distribute the 7/10 in here. So that would give us 7/10 x minus 28/10. But I'm going to simplify that 28/10 by dividing both of these by 2. So really that's going to end up being a 14/5. Alright, and this equals 42, by the way. So to solve this, I would need to add 14/5 to both sides. So I'll add 14/5 right here. Actually, I'll put it on the side. So plus 14/5. Well, if I'm going to add a fraction, I'm going to need common denominators. So what I'm going to need to do is change that 42 into 210/5. And I will still add the 14/5. So this ends up being 224/5 equals. Alright, well I can get rid of the 10 by multiplying both sides by 10. So that'll cancel out with the 5 and become a 2. So I got 7x, 10's cancel, equals 448. Now when I divide both sides by 7, but I need a little bit more space.
Oh, I did do
divide both sides by 7, and we see that x equals 16. Alright, 64.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I need one more. And I got 100%.
Alright, how many guys got that one right?
I did. Really?
Each deli sandwich made uses 3/8 pounds of roast beefs. Marissa started with 5 pounds of roast beef and now has 2 3/4 pounds. How many deli sandwiches did she make? Well, we got to figure out how much she used. So 5 minus 2 3/4. So this really becomes 20/4 minus 8 11/4. So she used up 9/4 pounds used of the roast beef. Well, if she used 9/4 and 3/8 pound for every sandwich, we'll just divide this by 3/8. Well, as you all know, we don't divide fractions, we multiply them. But that means we got to reciprocate the divisor. So this is 9/4, and we can simplify right account. 3 and 1, and then these two simplify to 2 and 1. 3 times 2 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1. So the answer is clearly 6. To solve these, we're going to need to do distribution first. So that gives us 6x minus a 2. The rest of it stays the same. Now, all we're going to do is focus on combining like terms. So on the 4x, I got another 6x over here, and then minus 8x. All of these combine into 2x. Then I've got this negative 5 and this negative 2, which all combine to be negative 7. Well, this equals, over here, I got this 7x, and then this 9x, which combine to be 16x. And then I've got this negative 6 and positive 32, which is positive 26. Then I've got to determine which side I want the x's on. I have chosen the left. No, I have chosen the right. Therefore, I will subtract 2x from both sides of the equal sign. So now I got negative 7 equals 14x plus the 26. Well, I don't want any x's with that plus 26, so I got to get rid of it by subtracting 26 from both sides. And that gives me negative 33 equals 14x. And to solve these, I would divide both sides by 14, and I end up with x equals negative 33 14ths. No decimals will work, because this is a very ugly decimal. So the improper fraction is all check. Now on to these. We're going to have to distribute this 1/2. Let's do that first. So 1/2 times 8x is 4x. 1/2 times negative 18 is negative 9. Now this distribution is going to be a negative 3. So negative 3 times 2x would be negative 6x. And negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3. Then we'll distribute this 2. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 10 is 20. And then again, we're distributing this as negative 4. So negative 4x minus 48. And the rest of it stays the same. Alright, well, let's combine like terms. So I got this 3x, I've got this 4x, and this negative 6x, which all combine to be 1x. Oh, very nice. Well, we've got this negative 4 and this negative 9er, and then this positive 3, which all combine to be negative 10. This will equal, we need to combine everything on the right side, 4x minus 4x. These combine to be 0. And then we've got 20 minus 48, which would be negative 28. Well, of course, if we take 0 minus 28, we just get negative 28. And from right here, all we'd need to do is add 10 to both sides. And we got the 1x equals negative 18. So the decimal form of this one would be fine. Negative 18.0. That'd be good. And that's all of it right there. 2 answers, 2 questions. So easy.